Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. I'm Emmanuel, I'm an airline pilot, and today we are going to fly the Aerosoft CRJ900 once again. Now we are standing here at two exciting new airports, the first of which is going to be Umeå, and our destination is going to be Kiruna today. Both parts of ORBX upcoming Swedish Triple Pack. At this point, thank you very much to ORBX for providing me with the pre-release versions of this airport. Now, before we are going to start and hop into our airplane, let's have a very quick look at the airport where we are departing from, which is going to be released just a couple days after I am posting this video. Now, we are basically standing straight in the middle of Umeå Airport over here, and we can already see that we've got a rather large apron, couple of parking spots at least for a Scandinavian airport, and the airport's pretty much divided into two parts. Now, let's have a quick look into the two parts of the airport before we are going to go flying. The first of which we can find over here on the on this side, and this is basically where we can find things like, for example, the general aviation apron. You can already see a couple of aircraft standing over there in the background. So we've got the general aviation apron over here, as you can see. And then, if we go right over here, we even got a couple of hangars for our favorite little pipers. Now, that favorite little piper, certainly something you should keep in mind, especially in case you do like to fly similar aircraft, like, for example, the DA-42, because there are a couple other airports rather close by, such as, for example, Vasa, part of the World Update Nordics, that is just 60 nautical miles away over the Baltic Sea. So certainly something that is worth having a look at. Also, there's quite a lot of flying clubs over here. You can see one hangar over here of the Umeå Flying Club, and then over here we even find a Gliders Club, which is pretty cool in this particular area over here. Even though it is a little bit cold for my taste today at a temperature of minus 13 degrees centigrade right now in April. Now, what I really like across the entire airport is all the snow banks we've got next to the taxiways. Just look at the level of detail you've got in here, which is really cool. Also, a lot of the snow that's been shoved up over here, really good looking. They did an awesome job. This part of the airport alone would, technically speaking, deserve its own video. It's just that I wish I had a little bit more time to do all of that. Alright, going over to the other side then. This was basically the leisure side of the airport. Now we've got the commercial side, which has a pretty cool terminal interior here, as you can see. Looking very good. And now when we go over to the other side, we obviously got our 3D tower up there as well. But let's just have a look at the areas of the airport that you wouldn't see all that often. I mean, this is directly in front of gate number 3, but let's have a close-up look over here at the quality of the texturing of everything that's standing over here. I mean, just have a look at the walls over here, or have a look at the level of detail on the water tanks. Very cool. Alright, then let's move on to the other side of the airport that's really worth having a look at. Because now we're getting to, well, first of all, a little bit of private aviation here, but this is basically all air ambulance now. Or over here we got the search and rescue teams that are located close by. Again, pretty cool level of detail we can find at the airport over here that is really worth exploring and provides for a lot of different opportunities of what you can fly with this airport. Now over here we got another ambulance hangar. And then finally over here we got the cargo apron coming up, which is also very nicely detailed on the land side. Oh boy, I just really hope this gentleman over here has their jacket somewhere, because it is rather cold up here. But having a look at the cargo area over here, again, pretty very well done. Oh, hello fuel truck, nice that you spawn over here. Alright, well, so that much about the immediate parking areas at Umeå Airport. Really like the level of detail. Again, just look at the level of detail on the snowbanks over here. Even if we go close up, they did a really nice job. I can tell you already this gives you a pretty cool feeling when you're taxiing out, especially since you've got just so many of those snowbanks. But okay, now here's our ride for the day. Let's join it. And here we are in our beloved CRJ900. Now, beloved to some, hatred to the others. Personally, I do think it is a pretty good aircraft, at least for seeing that it was the very first airliner released for Microsoft Flight Simulator. And while certainly not perfect, while there's certainly some more work they can do on the airplane, it is worth pointing out that most of the stuff works rather stable. At least I haven't had any major crashes or anything with it. And even though some stuff could use some updates and some polishing, I do have to say that it is still better than quite a couple of other, especially regional jets, but also others released these days. So let's take a seat in the captain's seat and we are going to have a look into what we are going to do today. So let's go ahead and start powering our airplane up. So we start the safety check by making sure that all the circuit breakers are in, which they are. Then we make sure the nose wheel steering switch is currently switched off. The hydraulic pumps, all 4 of them are off up here. And then we can continue with the landing gear is down, the spoiler lever is in the 0 position and the flaps are up as well. Radar is certainly switched off right down here. And the ADG manual release is stowed. Emergency flap switch is normal. And now we can go ahead and turn the airplane on. So battery master is coming on. Then I am going to connect the ground power over here, but we most certainly are going to run the APU straight away in order to start warming our airplane up. So the displays have powered up already. Then let's go ahead and run the fire test, which is looking good. Alright, so then we can hit the APU power switch, and we do get the APU display down here and APU start. Right, excellent. APU is starting up, and as soon as the APU is up, we're going to start the air conditioning. As I mentioned, it is rather cold outside, currently minus 11 degrees centigrade. Look at that, the APU even needs a little bit longer to power up as well. But here we go, almost there. Alright then, so the APU is running. Then we can go to the overhead panel, make sure the bleed valves are in auto and the bleed air source is selected to the APU, and that should start warming us up now. Alright, so very good. With that, we are now going to get some warm air. Alright, so then we can go ahead and turn the IRSs into the nav mode. Emergency equipment is going to be checked by the FO, so that's basically it. Alright then, let's do a couple basic system checks. We're going to start on the hydraulics over here, making sure the quantities are sufficient for the flight. Then we can check the electric 3A pump. And that works. Alright, excellent. So then we can turn the 3A pump off again. Pressure is dropping as it should. Alrighty. Okay, cool. So on the status page, all the messages we see. Well, why do we have the packs off? Those are certainly going to be turned on now, so that we start heating the airplane up. So a quick look at the ECS page to make sure that it actually does heat up. So APU is providing the pack's actual temperature, minus 8 degrees right now, but look at that. Now the air conditioning is coming on and it starts warming up rather rapidly in here. Alright, perfect. Cool then. Quick look at the door page as they are going to start the boarding in a few moments. And that's it. Alright, cool. Oxygen pressure 1850 is checked up here, looking good. Alright, excellent. Then let's go ahead and start with the rest of flight deck setup. Emergency lights armed, passenger signs on, external lights are off. Okay, so oxygen masks. Looking good, and the pressure is holding 1840 on here right now. Okay, so then let's go ahead and move up. So DC service switch is going to come on, electricals are on, we did the fire test, and we turn the nav light on. Then for the fuel pumps, make sure that they are actually off. The bleed air panel is looking good, wing anti-ice thrust bleed normal. We did power the airplane from the APU over here, and the start switches are all off. Moving up to the top, the cabin pressure needs to be set to the field elevation. So when we do that, let's have a quick look into the charts to determine the actual field elevation over here. Alright, so where are we? 18 feet. Alright, so basically ground level. Then I'll just turn this up by a single step. And here we go. Landing elevation 20, looking good. So this is the departure field elevation right now. In flight, we are going to select the landing field elevation. Alright, so everything looking good over here. I am going to turn on some of the windshield anti-ice, and I'll turn on the probe anti-ice because we really don't want those to ice up. And even though it's clear skies right now, we will be taxiing through a little bit of a snowy area later on, so in order not to forget it, I'll just turn the probes on right now. Okay then, not a lot to do on the main panel there, so let's move on to the side panel. I'm going to turn on the bearing over here, VOR1, VOR2 please. Thank you, nav source set to the FMS, that's good. We can switch this over to MDA already. So, QNH, let's have a look into what our current weather conditions are. So, 1019 is our QNH. Here we go, set once and set... Interesting, this is 1019, this is 10... Okay, well, now they match. Okay, and the right hand side 1019 as well. Awesome. Alright, cool. So that's pretty much all we need to do down here for now. Then we can move over to the main panel. Any skid is armed. So lamp test, making sure that everything actually works in here as it should. Number 1 and number 2. Usually there is 2 bulbs in every of those switches. That's done as a backup in case a bulb burns out, then you can still see what you want to see through the other one. Alright, awesome. Then we can move further down. Thrust reversers are armed. Are off. They will get armed later on. Okay. And for now, I'd say that's pretty much everything we need to do over here. So let's head straight over into the FMS and start the setup over there. Alright, let's see, GPS position is on page number 2. Thank you very much. So now comes our flight plan setup, so let's go ahead and grab our OFP. So here we go, departing Echo Sierra November uniform. And we're flying towards Echo Sierra November, Quebec. This is definitely something they need to fix. The click spot of that spoiler lever interfering with the clear key. That's really an annoying one. Right, our alternate is going to be straight back over here. Flight number, Scandinavian, what do we have up here? 99041. As I mentioned, it's a charter flight. You can sort of tell that by the flight number. Alright, so execute that. Departure. Let's have a look. What is the current weather like? So 040 at 7, slightly variable, Kavok minus 11 degrees. So at that wind, we can say runway 32 is technically the one that has the better wind component here. But since it's just a very slight tailwind, yeah, tell you what, let's take 3-2. Doesn't really make that much of a difference. And we've got the Sopli to Lima departure in here, execute, and the arrival is direct to Tapa, and then Tapa 1 Sierra arrival runway 21. So let's go ahead and enter that straight away as well. ILS, probably Zulu, I suppose, because that's really what it is on most airports in Europe. But let's have a very quick look into the chart before we are programming nonsense. So Zulu starts out right at the field VOR, and our arrival brings us towards November Quebec point. Okay. What about Yankee then? How does that look? Not much of a difference either, huh? Well, in that case, let's take the Zulu. And for the arrival itself then, Terpa 1 Sierra arrival. Okay, RMP star only to be used in conjunction with Romeo 21 with RMP approach. Well, we don't want to do that, so let's have a look into the other stars we've got available. Terpa 4 Echo, what does that look like? Yep, that's not our runway. Or if we just check the weather, 180 at 11 light snow, scatter clouds -13. Alright, well, that is definitely not going to be our runway. Terpa 4 Foxtrot it is then. Probably going to be radar vectors anyway. Oh, what's the Terpa 1 Romeo looking like? Nope. Okay, Terpa 4 Fox it is. Alright, Terpa 4 Fox leading us to Kiruna VOR, and then we take that one in here and execute. Alright, so what does that stuff look like on the legs page? Alright, what do we have in there? Terpa 4 Foxtrot leading to Oscar Papa. Nah, didn't want that. I'll tell you what, it's pretty much from 11 DME, which is the kilo point anyway, to Kilo Romeo Alpha, so we can just do this. And now the routing should be correct. Alright, so then let's have a very quick look into the flight plan itself. Right, so runway 32. Then what is that stuff looking like? November Uniform 900. Right hand turn 901 and then on to Supply. From there we fly towards Terpa. And then we've got the Terpa Sierra, Foxtrot arrival. Terpa, 211 miles, above 5,000 looks okay. And then on towards Kilo Romeo Alpha. And from there we fly the standard ILS approach. Okay, that's fine with me. That looks about alright. Then let's go ahead with our performance initialization. And when we're about to do that, we might as well quickly have a look into the flight plan and actually load the entire airplane itself. So performance, we do have 58 passengers on board. They did bring 1,200 or something cargo. Well, I'll tell you what, the zero fuel is now 27.5. Not the fuel. That one I meant to increase. We're looking for 28.3. So pretty much like this. This looks alright. And then for the fuel, we did say that the weather is looking good. We already had a look at that. If you check the forecast, then Prop 40 from 1200 onwards, light snow, broken 400. That's alright, we can live with that. So in terms of fuel, 3.5, 3.6 including taxi. Yeah, so we make that something here like 3651. That should even include the APU usage. So set payload in the simulator. Let's have a quick look. Fuel 3650 is looking good. Alright, then we can continue. So in here we can make our lives easy. 28229, we can just type that as 0 fuel weight. Easy going. Cruise level 340. And for the return 330. And the fuel weight 3650. Alright, executing that. Next page then. Let's have a look at the winds. So for the climb is 077 at 9. Cruise wind is going to be just something of the average here. 219 at 16. And then the descent wind I'll take from down here, 199 at 20. Right, ISA deviation, what do we have here? Temperature up there, minus 62. That is cold. Okay. So in 340 we should have by default minus 56, so let's make it minus 8. Alright. Looking about good. Then that stuff here we can just keep as it is. VNAV setup, 290 looking good. Transition altitude 5000, is that correct? Let's have a look. Yes, it is. For the cruise, 300/0.77 is what we will aim for. Yes, thank you. And the descent we can do later on when we're actually in the descent. Alright. So, performance, flex temperature. Unfortunately, we don't have a calculator, but we can still set it like that. And 55 degrees should be good. VNAV plan speed, 250 knots. Nah, you can plan me at 300 knots, please. But looks like the plane doesn't even take that in first place. Okay, so be it. We're happy with as it is right now. Alright, awesome. So, secondary flight plan, I am simply going to copy the active. So let's go flight plan, copy active, secondary flight plan, and everything is here. Perfect. Alright, awesome. So that's pretty much this part of the setup completed. Then let's have a quick look. We are going to do a flaps 8 takeoff. We'll take a snowy runway up here. So 128, 135, 147. So V1. One to 8. VR is going to become 135. Like that, and V2 147. Alright, and flap retraction 193, V2 plus 10, 157. So let's go ahead and set that. So 157 in here, and VFT0 is going to be 193, so let's set the target to 193 up there. By the way, does anybody know if you can actually change the values without having them shown down here? So for example, if I do this on the plane, you can see I can still change the V target up there. Not sure if that's realistic or not, but well, it works in the Aerosoft CRJ. Maybe just put it that way. Okay, so we'll bring up the flight director, bring up the toga mode, thank you, and then we can go ahead and arm the nav mode already. Still got a yaw damper warning there. Here it is. Let's bring that on. Alright, cool. So that should be pretty much our setup completed. Maybe just change that back, and finally MFD option window on. Alright, that looks good now. That is pretty much how I want to fly my plane. Do we have an initial climb published? I don't think we do. Initial climb clearance 5000, okay. And we do have an initial climb published. Here we go, 5000 is in. Alright, so with that we're pretty much done. So I suggest we are going to go ahead with our briefing, please. I'm going to do the briefing Airbus style because I'm kind of getting used to that, and I do like their briefing format. So the pilot monitoring can start the briefing, please. Okay. And just while I see it, MFD menu, right side window on. Right, perfect. Okay, so Umeå, runway 32. Sit is going to be The sublead to Lima departure, first cleared altitude 5,000, and the MSA for the climb 2,900, but we will have to do a cold temperature correction. Extra fuel and time, we have not much, 5 minutes approximately. Yep, so hotspots for the planned taxi route is pretty much the entire airport. Could be rather slippery, so if we're unsure about anything, we'll just take it slow and taxi out slow. Stop margin for rejected takeoff is plenty, the runway is more than long enough. Engine outside straight at, and then we are going to come back in for an approach runway 32. Special operation, non-standard operation. We have the cold temperature correction. Maybe we just talk about that real quick over here. So it's minus 11 degrees. I did grab a cold temperature correction table over here. Unfortunately, there was none in the charts for the Swedish airports here, but I just grabbed one from a chart for Teleread. Basically, this is the same for any airport. So if we just have a very quick look into what we got over there, if we take minus 10, 3,000 feet, 290, it's a little bit colder, so let's call it 300 feet extra. So we are correcting the minimum safe altitude. Where is it? Here it is. Okay, so 300 extra, and the original 2,900 is going to become 3,200. So in case of an engine out, we are going to make, first of all, right-hand turns, because the terrain over here is lower than it is over here, and we climb to at least 3,200 feet altitude. Okay, do you see threats for the departure? Well, none that we didn't talk about yet. I do agree. So that's our briefing completed then. Alright, let's do the power up and cockpit checklists. So, park and brake on, covers and pins removed, oxygen masks checked, and we have 1840 psi. System panels checked and set. Power up checklist complete, cockpit checklist, passenger signs on, pressurization. Here we go. Set. Altimeters. QNH 1019 reading 60 feet. EFIS and CAS checked. FMS checked. IRS aligned. Nose wheel steering off. Cockpit checklist complete. Alright, then let's say hello to the passengers, and then we should be good to go. And in the meantime, quick check on the ECS. What is it doing now? 21 degrees. Nice. Okay, maybe just make that a little bit warmer even. Alrighty. Very good, so I'm off everything to do the PA. Ladies and gentlemen, a very warm welcome aboard this Scandinavian Airlines Flight 9941 to Kiruna. My name is Emmanuel and I am your captain today. With me on the flight deck, a lot of lovely first officers who are going to be joining us on this flight. Now, we will be ready to go in a few minutes' time. We are just doing the last paperwork, and then we will make our way with an expected flight time of approximately 35 minutes. We would like to say thank you very much for being our guests today. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the flight with us. The cabin crew is shortly going to point out the safety features on board the CRJ900 aircraft. It is a Hans Hartmann aircraft, so we do ask you to pay special close attention to the safety briefing. Thank you very much for your attention, and once again, you're all very warm welcome aboard this Scandinavian Airlines flight. Alright, the passengers are briefed. Then I would say we are about ready and good to go, are we? We probably are. Alright, so GSX, prepare for pushback and departure. Handling by Swedavia is good. Don't want to request de-icing treatment. No, actually not. Because the outside check has shown that the airplane is actually free of any contaminants. Okay, so we are running on the APU. That means if we go to the aircraft settings, we can remove the ground power, close the doors, and finally remove the chocks. And the door page is closed. Awesome. Okay, so turning on the transponder. Ground cockpit. Hello there. So, please confirm all doors and hatches are closed, ground equipment is removed, and the bypass pin is installed. Alright, that is all confirmed. Roger, stand by. Alright, so let's prepare the airplane for our pushback then. So papers are on board, the takeoff speeds are set. Off we go. Beacon on. Fuel pump on. Ground cockpit. Go ahead. Can we pressurize the hydraulics? Yes, sir, you can pressurize. Roger. Okay, the nose is going to go to the, let's see, left. Okay. So, before start, push checklist. Mobile devices off, beacon on, hydraulics on and auto, doors closed, park and brake set. So, fuel pumps and quantity 3,625 on board, 3,600 required, and we've got 2 pumps on. Takeoff data set, transponder set on 1, before start push checklist completed. Interesting, now we no longer get the red flight director indication. Oh, now we do when we use toga mode. Okay, well, I'm fine with that. Alright, ground cockpit, go ahead. So, clear the push, facing west, park and brake set. Roger, release park and brakes. Park and brake released. Off block at 59. So, let us know when we can start our engines, please. Right, you can start the engines now. Roger that, starting in sequence 2 then 1. Engine 2 start. Ain't gonna work. Because first of all, that's the wrong button over there, that's not the engine starter. Let's try this one over here. Right, engine 2 start. And this time it does work. Oh boy, that's what happens when you fly different aircraft all the time. Right, N2. Oil pressure. N1. That took quite a time until the temperature started to rise. Probably not realistic, seeing that, you know, as soon as you've got fuel in the combustion chamber, things are going to get hot. Okay, push completed, set brakes. Brake set, and we're starting number 1. Roger. Engine 1 start. And 2. Let's watch the ITT a little bit closer this time. Oil pressure, N1. So at 20% N2 I'm going to put the fuel on, and basically a couple seconds thereafter, not many, just a few seconds thereafter, I do expect the ITT to rise. That's 20%. So, fuel is coming up, and now the ITT should rise. See, this is certainly too long. We have ignition by now, as you can clearly see by the other values rising that quickly. So we found something over here that they should absolutely improve on. Right, in the meantime, ground equipment is getting removed. The gentleman is walking away as well. Okay. Right, 2 good starts, clear disconnect, clear sign right hand side with a pin, and there he is. Alright, thank you. So, let's see, generators are on auto, bleed valve on packs, both engines, recirc fan can come on as well, anti-ice, we will put the cowl anti-ice on. Alright, looking good. So, then, can we extend the flaps? It looks like there is a little bit of snow down there, but I would say it's not too much. Yeah, let's go ahead and extend them. Okay, so then let's go ahead with the flight control track, please. Full up, full down, neutral. Full left, full right, neutral. Rudder, full left, full right, neutral. Right, what should be our trim setting for the takeoff? 6.9. So that's looking better. Okay, after start checklist. Anti-ice, on, low, on. AC/DC, checked. Fuel cross flow, auto. CAS, checked. Nose wheel steering, armed. After start checklist complete. Okay, clear left side, clear right side. Brake released. Taxi light on. Let's go for it. Brake check. You can clearly see the high idle N1 we had because of the engine anti-ice that's turned on. Right now I'm adding a little bit of thrust in order to get the airplane moving, even though we are definitely not going to move too quickly over these surfaces over here. Quite some contamination still. But the thing is, look at that, this is idle thrust now. So quite a bit of N1 there. Alright, backtracking. Clear right side. Clear left side. And that's what I meant with the snow piles. Looking really good, aren't they? Alright, a little bit of snow here on the runway. But apart from that, it's mostly clean. But there definitely is some snow, especially on the sides here. Alright. Cool, are you ready for the review of the takeoff briefing? So it's going to be a left seat takeoff, runway 32, flaps 8, noise abatement procedure 2. Takeoff speeds 128, 135, 147 and the clean speed 193. The sit straight ahead to the November Victor 900 point, which is an overfly waypoint, and thereafter a right turn out. Yeah, no specials. In case of emergencies, we can go straight ahead, climbing at least 3,200 feet for the corrected MSA. And if we keep to the eastern side, to the northeastern side of the airport, we are going to have lower terrain than on the other side. Apart from that, no specials, and with that, no questions. Okay, taxi checklist. Flaps 8, flight controls checked, trims green and 6.9. Thrust reverser armed. So that's quite a bit of snow coming up over there from the touchdown zone on. I'm slowly on the brakes here, slow the plane down a little bit. But it looks like the braking action isn't that good. Just look at my ground speed here. And I'm applying really quite a bit of braking right now. Okay, continue the checklist. EFS and CAS checked, BTMS 1, cabin ready, taxi checklist complete. Alright, now making a 180 on a runway like this. But this seems to look quite good. Yep, this is okay. Right, windsock is still pretty much cross at about 10 knots as we can see. That looks alright. Alright, stopping here for a moment. So, TCAS. TA only, please. Actually, tell you what, let's go on auto. A buff is active, looking good. So, weather radar, even though I don't think it's actually simulated in here. Then we can synchronize that heading buck with a runway heading. Like so. Alright, lights on, APU. Did we need the APU for takeoff in the CRJ? I don't remember. But tell you what, we'll turn it off once we're in the air. Right, bleed source to both engines. Not sure why that was on the right hand side initially. Probably missed it on an earlier check. Okay, so all our checks are complete. We're cleared for takeoff. Then let's go. Takeoff. Set takeoff thrust. Takeoff thrust set, indications normal. 80 knots. Checked. V1. Rotate. Positive climb. Gear up. Climb. And climb thrust. Right, flaps 1. Speed checked. That was a little bit fast. 250 is what we're looking for. Here we go. And flaps up. So, looking beautiful. Man, look at the frozen rivers and everything here. Really neat, isn't it? Nicely situated airport. Okay, so we're above the clean speed, flaps are up. Reverse is off, and I don't see the need for anti-ice, so let's put the cowl anti-ice off as well. Alright, looking good. So then, why did the FMS nav mode not engage yet? Let's try that once more, FMS 1. And then we can start our acceleration here. $1,000 to go. Checked. And let's continue our climb. Level 160 at first, and thereafter we can still go higher. Okay, speed 250, looking good. We'll do the altimeters in a moment. I'm kind of flying outside the flight director here intentionally, because I don't want to do more of an S-turn than I actually need to. So this is actually looking good. Alright, so set standard. Come on. Interesting, it defaults to 1018. Well, now it's on standard. From the standby device, but I don't care, it's on standard. That's all I need. Okay, so after takeoff checklist. CAS, checked. Altimeters. Standard 3 times, passing level 80. Now, checked. Alright, so I'd say we're pretty much established where we wanted to go. I will do a little bit more hand flying just because it's so much fun, but we are basically out already. So over there is the ocean already, and right on the other side you will find Vaasa in Finland, which is part of the world update as well. So that makes for a pretty cool flight with general aviation aircraft, about half an hour-ish across the ocean. Pretty cool. And really recommendable as well. Alright then, passing 100, accelerating 300 knots. Just look at how cool the CRJ actually flies. The flight dynamics of this thing are really pleasant, the manual flight dynamics. And you can really control it nicely, you can make smooth inputs with it. You can trim it out without getting into too many oscillations, which is something that to this date many developers still actually mess up with their aircraft. But look at how precisely you can fly it manually. I really enjoy doing that. Right, and here you go. So let's switch off the lights. We're going to keep the passengers in their seats until the autopilot is on, so we're going to wait a little bit with that. However, we can release the cabin crew already. Okay, and that is pretty much it. So, continuing the climb, flight level 340 is going to be our cruising level for this short hop. And that is set. Alright, and COM2 should be in 1215. Here we go, 1215. Okay, cool, so let's go ahead and put that autopilot on. Oh yeah, something just engaged here. Come on, airplane. You're frozen on 12 degrees pitch. Here it comes. Interesting behavior once again. Good thing that we kept the seatbelt signs on. And I have a feeling now we certainly don't need that APU anymore, so let's go ahead and shut it down. Beautiful to see that snowy landscape up here, isn't it? It's really nice that slowly but steadily it's still cold in the Nordics, but the sun is already up again. So even though we are going to fly north of the polar circle, it's not going to be entire winter night, but it is actually getting a little bit brighter already. And well, with the sun obviously come higher temperatures, so the snow is eventually going to melt. But for now, really beautiful time to be flying over here with well, I mean, just look down here. You've got all the lakes frozen up. I really got to do some general aviation flying in the area over here as well. I suppose the DA-42 would be a very good choice for that, but certainly stuff for a separate video. Alright, so APU, thank you, de-energize that thing, and gone it is. Alright then, I do believe it is going to stay smooth now, so seatbelts auto. Top of descent coming up in about 140 miles, that's looking pretty good. And just look at our rate of climb here, it's just excellent. The CRJ really is a powerhouse. Nice little tailwind here as well, 22 knots, the ground speed 433. That's definitely some good data there. I just don't want to be doing the flight back. Beautiful landscape. Really beautiful landscape. Sun is immediately behind us. Don't have that too often as well. And well, just look at this. Some very nice flying conditions we got here, that much is for sure. And honestly, I just love the look of the CRJ. It's one of those airplanes where, even as a kid, I always stood at the airport, and the CRJ was one of those aircraft that I enjoyed seeing the most. Like, it just looked sporty, it just looked different from all those standard Boeing and Airbus aircraft. This is just a beautiful aircraft, honestly. That's the only word I can find for that. Alright, so back up to the flight deck. Even though up here in the flight deck I certainly cannot repeat what I said earlier. In the flight deck I really am not too much of a fan of the looks of the CRJ. I mean, yeah, it looks alright, but you know, it's... I just find those standard Boeing and Airbus cockpit to look, you know, much better. Well, but anyway, we made it up into the air, we're on the way. What else could you ask for? Well, maybe a little bit more salary, or how about some more off days? Okay, well, getting into things that we should not get into here. Alright, so that looks like we're entering a couple of clouds here, but minus 47 degrees, so we don't need the anti-ice. From about minus 40 onwards, the water basically cannot freeze anymore, and or rather, the water is so frozen that it cannot freeze to your airplane anymore. That is how we should say, to be entirely correct here. And that is definitely the case now. Alright, so almost minus 50 already, and we're just at 28 or 29,000. That's pretty cold. Not surprising though. In the northern parts of the world, you often find rather cold air during the winter time, due to there simply being no warming from the sun over a period of many months. Right, reaching Mach 78. So switching over from constant indicator to constant Mach climb. And that is looking good. Right, we'll be above the clouds in a few moments, then any bits of the turbulence that are left are going to be gone. Now, here's an interesting theory for you. I just said that during the winter time, and this is going to be a challenge by the way, do put it in the comments below, put your answer in the comments below. During the winter time, it usually gets pretty cold when flying in the very northern parts of the Earth. However, in general, we do tend to say that close to the North Pole, it is pretty cold anyway, isn't it? However, during summertime, the air over there can be actually pretty warm and quite a bit warmer than the ICAO standard atmosphere, while in the winter it can be quite a bit colder. But why is that? Do put your explanation in the comments below, and I am going to give the answer to this question in a little bit of a time. In a different video, that is. Alright, so half bank mode just came on. Passing level 316, that's correct for the CRJ. And for many other aircraft as well that have a simplified system like that. I just really wish that we had things like charts available up here on the tablet. However, the good news is, I know some people will be saying this on the comments anyway. The good news, in my opinion, with that CRJ is that even though he is slow, Hans is still working on a couple updates. If we're honest over here, most stuff that we did for the normal envelope of the flight worked pretty well, didn't it? At least I surely think it did. I mean, I don't recall seeing like any major bugs on our flight yet, so, you know, in my opinion, the CRJ is in an okay state. And I would still love some updates, seeing things like SimBrief import and things like chart integration and an OFP viewer on the tablet, because in a couple of moments we will have to open the 2D Navigraph panel again, which I'm not a great fan of. I just don't like have something 2D on my screen while flying. So hopefully that stuff is going to find its way into the EFB. And not too much of a future, but, well. Right, 80 miles to the top of descent. We're reaching our cruising altitude. That's looking quite good. Always remember, don't have auto thrust on this airplane, so we gotta do our thrust manually. Let's go back to about 85% and 1. That normally is sufficient for our cruise flight. Now, in the real world, you can set your thrust really precisely, and it's really easy to fly a Mach number. In the sim, yeah, not all that easy, depending very much on the hardware that you are using. But overall, all I can say is that with good hardware, you can control the engines really precisely. So, you know, I said 85%, and with that we're maintaining Mach 80. Let's go a little bit slower. Let's set 83% and see what we're going to get with that. And being able to set the target thrust precisely, that is the secret to flying a good speed in an airplane or in a jet airplane without auto thrust. As you can see, I can set it down to, you know, 83.1% or 83.2, which is pretty good. With a lot of the cheaper flight sim hardware, we would be left over, you know, being able to control it maybe down to 1 or 2% and 1, but that is really not sufficient to fly an airliner. You need something like this where you can actually set it down to the last percentage. As you can see, our speed is maintaining pretty nicely with that. It's just decreasing very slightly, and that is exactly how I want to control the airplane in cruise. Very slight and small inputs. And that is how you fly an airplane precisely. Alright then, let's go ahead and grab our charts for the arrival into Kiruna. Kiruna is also one of the airports included in the Swedish Triple Airport Pack from ORBX. Once again at that point, thank you very much for providing it to me ahead of the original release. Now let's go ahead and start our setup over here. Now, we could obviously fly the Arnav approach and then take the Arnav arrival in, but I'm kind of a little bit more of a fan to actually do these things with an ILS today, so especially because I don't want to be bothered with doing all those altitude corrections and remembering all those values. But let's start by having a look at the weather. It's now 180 at 9, 10 kilometers, light snow showers, scattered clouds, 1300, minus 14 degrees, QNH 1017. That's okay, we can work with that. So minus 14, that means we got a lot of cold temperature corrections coming up, especially since we do have a rather high MSA over here. So field elevation 1500, the MSA therefore is up to 2000 feet above that. So let's go ahead and start our setup then. So I'm quickly going to remove the charts from our departure airport, like that. And then we don't need... Come on. Don't need this one here either. Alright, done. Awesome, so ILS 21 it will be. So then, let's go for it with our FMS setup. Start up here on the VNAV descent. .78 and 300. Transition level 60. No, it's gonna be 70. And that's okay. Then, in the performance in it, I don't think we need to enter anything here. We already got the winds. Yeah, perfect. That is all we need. So, onto the legs then. Because I do suspect that we are going to fly a couple shortcuts here. So this is what the star looks like. Basically flying to the field VOR. And then from there you go into that U-turn onto the arrival. Don't intend to fly that. I'll probably just fly left downwind here and then vector myself in. Because that is kind of what I would expect from the real airport as well. So landing elevation is going to be 1430. So let's go ahead and set that. And by the way, just before we do that, you can see we've reached Mach 0.78 now, which is our target, with 83.3%. So now I'm just increasing the thrust very, very slightly. You can see that's less than 1% added, 0.5% and 1. And now I basically do expect my speed to stay constant over here as it is now. Okay, cool. So let's go ahead and set our landing elevation. 1430 we set it is. Oh, where are we at now? 1460. Right, 1440. Here we go. So 110.3 on the frequencies. That's going active. And 110.3 is going active here as well. Okay, minimum 1632. DHMDA, let's go. That once again takes a little while to dial all that stuff in. And I'm turning, and I'm turning, and I'm turning. Okay, 1632, 1640. And then the minimum is located 200 feet above the ground. So temperature correction table, please. And we are looking at about -15, 200 feet. So that's 25 extra. So if we make that 1660, then that's almost 30 feet on top. Perfect. Alright, so final approach course, that one we can only set when we are close to the ground, or we could just pre-select it in the air, I suppose. I'll tell you what. Match the heading bug, heading mode, nav source, log 1, and we can set that towards 204. And if you can't find that down here, then you can just trick a little bit and place the back of the needle on the opposite course. So 204 minus 180, 024. So if we place the back of the needle on 024 now. Pretty much like this, then our course is set. Right, back to FMS. Back to nav. And here we go. Excellent, so with that we're almost set up. The ILS itself is equipped with a DME, and for the missed approach, climb straight ahead to 4000 and turn left to the VOR and join the holding. Alright, so Kiruna VOR 15.2 is going to go into the standbys on both radios. We've got the bearing pointers for VOR 1 and 2 activated already, and I do think that's pretty much it. So if we do a couple of temperature corrections now, then we're going to start with what do we need to correct. Basically everything that is below the corrected MSA. So 5,300 over here is our highest MSA at a field elevation of 1,500. So we're basically looking at 3,300. Am I talking nonsense now? I am. We're looking at 3,800 feet of height. So we're looking at the middle between these two columns here. 3,800, well, I'll take the 4,000 column, And the middle between these two, to make it easy, 450. Or make it 480. That should be good enough. So 480 feet on top. So our highest MSA becomes 5,800. So any altitude below 5,800, we need to apply cold temperature correction for. Now we've got 5,000 over here, so basically to that we applied already. But this is in the 4,000 area, so in the 4,000 area we don't need to apply it. However, 3,600 over here for the Tepra 1 hotel, that one we need to correct. So 3,600 is 2,000 feet above the field elevation. So 2,000, take the middle between the two. Is it those down here? Alright, so 240 feet on top of that 3,600 restriction. So 3,600 above becomes 3,840 above. Execute. Going on to the VOR, again 3,840 above. And all the 3,600s are basically going to become 3,840. Alright, awesome. Now for the missed approach, they say climb to 4,000, and that's below the corrected MSA. So 4,000, 2.5, go on top of that. And with 2.5 on top, we end up basically about, yeah, 4... sorry, make that 200 and... I don't know, 300 to be on the safe side. Well, no, 250. 250 is going to be good. So 4,250 is going to be our go-around altitude, provided that we cannot arrange anything else with our traffic control. Alright, and that's it. So with that, our profile is done. Now we are probably going to get a couple shortcuts. We'll talk about that in a few moments. And well, our top of descent shifted backwards quite a bit. Just gotta make sure that I didn't mess any restrictions up in here. Yeah, that's still an above restriction. That 4250 over there, that shouldn't be. Let's see, over the VOR, do we have anything published there? No. Tell you what, 4250 above, then we should hopefully get a better top of descent again. Right, now our VNAV routing is actually looking okay. Still tells me I am too high, but I don't believe it. Let's see, descent info page, and we will look to be Kilo Romeo Alpha in 4250. Yes, no, maybe? Here we go. 3,500 down. Well, I don't really believe it. Or should I? I mean, it's 60 miles out. Yeah, let's start a descent, but let's not make it too aggressive. Right, we're going to start with 16,000. Vertical speed, minus 3,000. Then maintain the speed. And look at that, all of a sudden we are immediately on profile. Sometimes I don't understand this airplane. Sometimes it's doing weird things. But yeah, tell you what, we'll just descend like this now, and that is going to keep us happy. Right, awesome. So, we don't have a descent checklist here. The next one is going to be the approach checklist down here. And I am perfectly happy with that. Only thing we could do, go over here in the performance, landing speeds. So V2 for the go around 143, VFTO 215. So 215 is in. V2 becomes 143, like that. And the others, we basically don't need them anymore, so I'm just going to set them down to 100 knots. Well, and the R is going to become VREV 134. Perfect. Alright, so that's pretty much all the setup we need. Okay, cool. So let's put that speed up to 300 knots. Here we go, 300 is set. Perfect. So, time for the approach briefing then. Are you ready? Yes, sir. Alright, lead the way, please. MSA, the highest corrected 5,800. So basically, if we say that we are going to stay above 6,000, then we are safe all around. Alright, our stars, the Tapa for Foxtrot arrival for an ILS approach Zulu, runway 21. Minimum, we did correct that to become 1660. And go around trajectory straight at 4,000. We're gonna make that 4,250 unless air traffic control tells us something different. And then a left turn back to the VOR to join the holding over there, climbing 4,250. Extra fuel and time. We do have yeah, some 15 minutes extra. Alright, the approach guidance is going to be an ILS using the flight directives, but manual flight. Landing flaps full, stop margin is plenty. Let's actually have a real quick look into here. So stop margin is plenty, reversers will be used. Planned runway exit is going to be to the right hand side, most likely via Bravo down here, but that does require a timely touchdown and timely application of the thrust reversers. Okay, no hotspots for the taxi in. Special operation, yeah, it is rather snowy once again, so we are going to take the airplane especially slow, and when it comes to any turns or anything, the lies where we suspect that it might be a little bit slippery, we are going to correct for that by going pretty much as slow as the airplane can take it. You see any threats for the arrival? No? Excellent, me neither. Alright, that's the arrival briefing complete. And I am going to turn the seatbelts on now. Alright, belts are on. So, beautiful landscape outside still. Really beautiful landscape outside. It's unbelievable. I'm looking at the watch and we're already half an hour in the air. I could really just hang here with my eyes outside the plane and, you know, just enjoy what I'm seeing while flying along. The only thing is, if I did that, eventually my airplane would probably run me into the overspeed. You can see I'm kind of keeping an eye on this so that it doesn't get too quick, even though I'm not maintaining especially close the target as well, but that is fine. Alright then, let's continue our descent. We're looking for an altitude of flight level 100 next, and below that we are going to start our approach setup. If we look at that, we're going to reach level 100 just prior to the airport, about 10 miles before. So if we then make it a nice right-hand turn into downwind 15 miles out, 15 miles back, then we should pretty much come in at a good altitude. So 25 miles to run until Kiruna itself. So if we just have a look outside, I do suspect it's somewhere down here maybe. Let's see if we can find those ore mines for which Kiruna basically has been created. After all, the entire city was only... basically the entire city was just founded in order to have a place for the workers in the local mines. So, we'll have a look if we can see anything on the way in. I don't know if you noticed, but the way I'm flying this airplane is with as minimal thrust changes as possible. I still see people every now and then who complain like, yeah, I've got difficulties flying the airplane. Well, the key factor to flying aircraft that don't have an auto throttle is basically to use as little thrust changes as possible. Basically only change the thrust whenever you actually need to. And right now, you know, yeah, I'm flying 20 knots faster than my target, but let's be honest over here, do I need to change that right now? Do I really need to? I don't think so. Obviously, we could just go berserk and just go idle thrust like that. But do we win anything? Well, you know, you don't want to descend much steeper than this anyway. I mean, think of passenger comfort. We are riding at -5 degrees pitch now, which is okay. But, you know, if we went much steeper, then passengers aren't going to be happy either. Okay then, let's descend down to our corrected MSA. So 6,000 feet, set QNH 1017. cross-checked, 11,400 now. Checked. Right, speed and 250. This is correcting pretty slowly. Tell you what, vertical speed -400. Now speed should be decreasing nicely. The thing with those level change modes, which the speed mode in here basically is as well, is that often they do take their time to reduce your airplane's speed. So even in the 737, I often just went vertical speed -200 or something the likes, and that provided for a very good deceleration rate then. Right, now here we are, back to speed mode, and down we go. Alright, heading. Let's turn right, 020 to make for a nice downwind, and then we can change our nav source. So, lock 1. Why is that in red though? I mean, the frequency is active? Okay, I don't know. Lock 2 is red as well, interesting. Well, we'll see about it. So, 2.5 mile downwind, we should probably go maybe 5 degrees further to the right then. 025. Passing 100. Signs coming on. No smoking coming on as well. That's the signal for the cabin crew. Right, and then we are now on the safe side of the airport, MSA-wise. By the way, talk about the airport. Down there it is. So let's go all the way down to our platform, which we set is 3850, so 3900 is going to do. Alright, and now the lock is showing in green, probably due to the glide globe signal reception. Not 100% sure, but it doesn't matter that much either. Alright, so extending the center line. Interesting, the headings don't add up once again, but well, so be it. Right, approach checklist please. Pressurization set, cast checked, altimeters, QNH 1017, London data set, approach checklist complete. Right, let's bring the speed back here, 210. 2.5 miles from the center line, so it's going to be one straight turn onto the final as soon as our speed is reduced. Thrust reverser armed. Okay, start on the left turn. So runway 22, so when we intercept at a heading of 250, we should have a nice, sorry, it's a runway 200, so heading 230, it's going to provide us a nice 30-degree angle for our intercept. So, flaps 1, speed checked. Flaps 1. Right, speed back 180. Nicely below the glide slope. Perfect. Approach armed. Lock 1. Okay, looks like I came a little bit too close on that downwind. That's why normally 4 miles is a good downwind. We went in at 2.5, so just cutting or overshooting the localizer for a bit here. So 180 knots. We're in alt capture mode now, so that is looking alright. Looking pretty cool overall, doesn't it? Okay, speed up 180. Now we're looking straight into the sun, of course. Okay, speed is at 180 again. It's taken its time to re-intercept the localizer here. Might just want to help it a bit. Okay, let's go a couple degrees to the left here. Approach mode is still armed. Okay, localizer capture. Now let's see, exactly over the Fox India I would expect to capture the glide slope. Here it comes, glide slope capture, and we are exactly above the Fox India. So our cold temperature correction was pretty accurate. Okay then. Go around altitude 4,300 set. Flaps 8. And we're established. Okay, so final approach speed. Let's just see again. 134, so 139. A set. So a little bit hilly terrain over here, but we are now basically 2,000 feet above the field. So gear down, flaps 20. Speed is coming back nicely. We want to be stable in 2,240 feet, including temperature correction, make that 2,500. Okay, flaps 30. And flaps 45. Final checklist. Cabin, ready, thrust reverser, armed, gear, down, flaps, 45. Final checklist complete. Alright, clear to land. Landing lights coming on. And here we are. Coming out of the clouds. Beautiful. I really like these northern landscapes here. Checked. I really like them. Alright then, let's do a little bit of piloting. So, flight director's off. Tiny bit above the glide, correcting for that. But we are within the stable approach criteria. Continue. And we'll follow the puppy all the way down.
50, 40, 30, 20, 10.
Interesting, we touch down straight when it's set 10. No further comment on that. Alright, spoiler reverse. And that looks like where we want to vacate, 60 knots. Okay, this is definitely snowy up here, so let's take it slow. Cowl anti-ice on. I mean, the braking action was good, but I don't want to risk it, so speed not above 10 knots on this. Okay, runway is about to get vacated. We'll make the right-hand turn onto the taxiway over here, and once we're on there, we're going to clean it up. Okay, keep on the brakes. It doesn't seem slippery right now, but there's so much snow over here, we don't want to risk anything. So I do think the speed at which we're going right now is a pretty good speed, to be honest. We're gonna get some hot brakes probably, due to all the braking we do. Alright, I don't expect contamination on the surfaces. APU door is open, starting APU. So what's that over here? Is that ice? Looks like ice, doesn't it? Okay, slow, 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 slow. Might be de-icing fluid, but maybe this is the spot where they de-ice their aircraft. But honestly, de-icing fluid is just as slippery as ice is. So very careful now. Alright, so Kiruna Airport, here we are. So, gate number 2 sounds about right. You can see I don't need thrust at all. The engines are running so high with the engine anti-ice on. Okay, so this lead-in line over here is probably not made for CRJs. It's probably made for something like a 737 or an A320. So we'll have to be a little bit careful here. And it's pretty hard to see the line at all, but that's what it often is like in the real world. I think this is the line, so let's go for it. Yeah, looks about right. Right, stop line should be somewhere here, and stop. Okay. Parking brake is set, the APU is available. Let's switch the bleed over to the APU so that it doesn't get interrupted. And then shutdown number 2, shutdown number 1. And yeah, it's going off. Yeah, quiet please, thank you. Cabin crew, all doors in park. Alright, parking checklist. Park and brake on, thrust levers, shut off, fuel pumps off, ignition off, anti-ice off, low off, external lights set, hydraulics on, trims centered, flaps 0, radar and transponder, whoopsie, off and standby, and nose wheel steering off. Parking checklist complete. And that's it, my friends. Welcome to Kiruna. Again, another airport from ORBX, part of the Swedish airports Tripack, together with Umeå and Scandinavian mountains. And again, definitely an airport worth having a look at. And that is exactly what we are going to do right now. So first of all, we're going to have a look at my parking skills, which, well, aren't the worst, but certainly could be better if we had a proper marshal available. So, chocks in place, open the door, connect the ground power as well, please. Thank you, but we're going to keep the APU running. Alright, so Kiruna, one of those places where you really don't want to fly in the worst winter conditions, as it can get pretty cold in here. The city itself was founded close to some mines in order to provide housing for the mine workers, which is quite a story. Now let's have a quick look into what the airport itself looks like. So this is about the arrival launch in here. And we can actually enter that if we want to. And this is what it looks like. So again, pretty good work in here, even though a little bit snowy, but ORBX did say that the scenery is focused to be used from airside. This, by the way, is an external power unit, a proper one. They just stretch it out to the airplane and then connect the external power over there. Alright, apart from that, I do like the live display of the time and the temperature up here. 12:59 local, and did it say minus 14 centigrade? I think it did. Yeah, minus 14 degrees centigrade. That's a really nice feature here of the airport that they animated that. Alright, apart from that, let's have a quick look over the aprons. So this is what it looks like. Well, those people here, they don't seem to be freezing at all. I certainly would, that much I can tell you. Alright, so that's one side of the airport. Let's have a quick look over at the other. Once again, we see those very nice snowbanks everywhere here. You can really see where they did the snow clearing, and you can really feel it. I do like that. Also, the terminal really makes a solid impression here. Like, they really tried to keep it warm inside. At least I sure hope so. So that looks like the fire station to me over here. And we got quite a couple of vehicles here as well. Especially snow clearing equipment and stuff like that. Look at that, there's even one of the garages open in here. Pretty neat. Alright, so moving over then, we do have a general aviation apron here as well. Lovely Falcon. Man, even the Falcon getting refueled, that's pretty cool. And is that a Fokker 50 in here? I suppose it is. Man, pretty nice. Alright, so from here there is one more to be explored. And that's the Arena Antarctica apron over here, but I don't think that this door can actually be opened, so this can just be used as a parking spot. But anyway, that is Kiruna Airport. Very nice little airport. I can certainly recommend to have a look at all of these. Scandinavian mountains, it's also included at the pack, so it is a pretty nice mix of 3 airports, providing for some nice flights. As you can see, we did about 35-40 minute flight right here, getting up to Kiruna, and from Kiruna down to Scandinavian mountains it is just a quick service of about an hour or so. So in general, pretty neat little pack, coming with 3 cool airports, very nicely situated. They can be very challenging in terms of the weather as well, so certainly worth having a look and certainly worth exploring. But that's going to be it for today's video. I do hope that you enjoyed it, and if you did, then please do let me know in the comments below. I'm looking forward to the feedback, as that is what improves the videos. But in the meantime, I would like to say thank you very much. If you did like the video, be sure to leave a like on YouTube as well, as it does really help out the channel. And finally, if you're up for more, don't forget to subscribe. Now with that, That's me signing off. Thank you very much for watching, everyone, and if you really love my videos, I would appreciate a small donation through the Buy Me Coffee link in the video description below. Thank you for watching, and see you all again on the next one.